Hey, it's been a long time since I actually did any vlogging. In fact, it's been about a year since I actually did any vlogging. And it's been a long time since I actually posted anything specifically to go on my own site. Yeah, I've kind of let vlogging sort of go by the wayside, in this last year. It's not to say I haven't actually had anything interesting to talk about. I've had loads of things to talk about this year. In fact, this year has been a fantastic year in so many ways, which I'm not even going to go into now because it's too long. I thought that one way I could get back into vlogging was to do this games thing that Cell tagged me on. I'm not sure what else I have to talk about, really. I mean, I used to talk about my events and the things that I used to go to, and now I'm starting to think there were other things that I would like to talk about instead, or as well. And if I was to talk about all the events I did in the last year, well, I might as well do an end of year vid. So I'll do that. I will hopefully put one of those up at the end of the year or beginning of next year. So first off, I'm going to do this games thing that Cell tagged me on. So the first question is, what was your first games console? My first one was a Commodore 64, which I shared with my brother. It was like, you had cassette tapes, like the games came in like cassette tapes. You had a cassette player, you had a big, huge, like, PC monitor, and you had a keyboard. So it looked like a PC. But you'd load up these games, and then you would obviously play them. Problem is, I don't have very many memories of playing games. I remember we had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, and we had something called Basket Masters. And the only reason I remember Basket Masters is because it was the only game we had where I could actually do better my brother. I could beat my brother at that game. And that didn't happen often. And that was the only game I could. The problem is, though, I remember our tape deck broke, so we couldn't actually play any of the games. So it got to a point where we just used to mess around with the screen, because you could do the loading screen. You could mess about and do weird shapes and writing, and you could just mess about on the actual screen. And that's what we used to do at some point, because we didn't have any games to play on it. Okay, next question. What game type you like the most? Well, I used to be really into those sort of, I suppose RPG type games, where, oh yeah, I suppose Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy. I like the Square Enix type thing. So I used to be really into those games that, like those, where you would sort of go from world to world, place to place, like I said, RPGs. And you just sort of hit things and kill things and have to do, like, I'm not really a big fan of first-person shooters or anything, or third-person shooters even, but I do like a few. But I suppose my favourite, I mean, I always used to like platformers, and I think at heart I still like platformers. I'm still looking for a game, because when I was younger I used to play a lot of Mega Drive games, and most of the Mega Drive games I played was walk forwards, kill things, jump things, blah 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 blah. Ooh, next level, jump things, kill things, blah 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 blah. And that's what you did. And that's kind of the thing. Oh, a boss at the end, kill boss, there you go. That's the type of thing I used to play, and in some ways I still prefer those games. And I don't think I've ever gotten into anything else as much. So I think, yeah, in some ways, despite what kind of console it is, I'm still sort of looking for that go to next level, kill things. And I suppose RPGs are similar things, because like with Kingdom Hearts, you go to one world, you do things in that world, you complete it, you complete the boss, then you go on to the next world. And there's a story and everything, yeah, sure, but yeah, for the most part, that's what you do, and I suppose that's the type of game I like. I like them to be very sort of structured, but I don't mind a little leeway. Like, I like the Final Fantasy games where you could go around and just explore the world and do any extra things and get the summons and stuff and level up these and, you know, that kind of thing. But I always kind of like them to be kind of story-driven. I don't really go for games where you sort of go off and too much and do your own thing. You've got to find the things, and I suppose I'm not a big fan of MMOs. So, yeah, I suppose platformer RPG type thing. Okay, next one is type of game you hate the most. I suppose I've kind of got to agree with Cell on this one, that my least favourite is probably sports games. I've never really played them much. I know my brother's really into those, what is it, Premier Manager, those manager games where you have a team and you have to decide. You're basically the manager. You don't play the sport. You know, you're not a player and you try to score and stuff. That I wouldn't mind too much. But no, you just sort of manage the team and whatnot. Not really. I don't like those games. I also get very bored of simulator games pretty quick. I tried Sims, got bored with it very quickly. I've tried roller coaster games where you build roller coasters. Didn't really get into those. Yeah, anything where you sort of build your own world, I get really bored of those ones, so I'm not really into those. I guess, yeah, when it comes down to it, sports games, sports manager games more than actual sports games. Because I'm pretty sure there was some sort of sports game I may have enjoyed at one point, or I used to play with my brother or something, but I forget. But for the most part, it probably is sports games and simulator games. To be fair though, if anyone was to suggest I play one, that's an actual I don't know. I just know that I never liked The Sims, and I never liked building roller coasters, building worlds and stuff like that. So anything like that. Next is top 3 games of all time. Well, obviously, Kingdom Hearts is right up there as my favourite, because when I was younger, yes, I used to play on a Mega Drive. I used to play my Mega Drive a lot. I also used to play on my Game Boy, and sometimes on the PS1 when my brother let me. But it wasn't until I got up to university that I realised that, yeah, I liked games, but I didn't really play them that much. I wasn't really a gamer. And then one of my friends at uni introduced me to Kingdom Hearts. She said, yeah, play this for a bit. So I was like, okay. And I was just so into it. I bought a PlayStation 2 just for Kingdom Hearts. I used to spend hours just sat in my room while I was at uni, in between socialising and university work, and just play Kingdom Hearts for hours and hours. It used to frustrate the hell out of me because it used to take me forever to kill anything, the big bosses and everything. But I loved it. I just fell in love with the game. And and the second one came out, I fell in love with that one too. In fact, I have a hard time realising which one I enjoy more. I think the first one for sort of sentimental value, and because I was so into it and I really, really got into it at the time. But I also really like the second one for what they did. They did so much more with it. They included so much more you could do. There was so much more things to see. There was just more to the game that really improved it and was really good. But the first one, I loved the first one when I played it. The second one, it took me forever to finish. I just never seemed to get around to finishing it. But the first one, I absolutely fell in love with. So that is, Kingdom Hearts is definitely my favourite game. That's just a given. Second, I suppose, would probably be the Final Fantasy ones. Which one? I'd probably say 7. It's either a toss-up between 7 and 8, because 7, I understood the whole system of levelling up. It was the first time I played any games like that. Turn-based thing I hated. When I first played Final Fantasy 7, I was like, I hate this turn-based thing. I hate this whole having to wait till you fight, till you do your hit. I hated it. And then I actually came back to it and thought, well, actually it's not so bad. And once I got used to it, once I got past the beginning of the game, which I thought was really hard, I really enjoyed it. And I really got into the world and the way those games worked, going on the map, the fact that you could explore after, just before you went to the bad guy, you could explore and do so much more, and there was so much you could do and see, and I loved that. And the same with Final Fantasy VIII, so I kind of liked both of them. But Final Fantasy VIII, I hated the junctioning system. The system they had on it, I absolutely hated. Until I actually worked out how to do it. And it took me most of the game till someone actually said, right, this is how this works. And I was like, oh, okay. And now I actually really like it. And when I played through it a second time, it was so much easier because I understood how to do it. So I'd probably say Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy 7/8, Final Fantasy games. Probably also going to say Resident Evil 4. I'm pretty sure it's 4, because I'd never played any of the Resident Evil games. I'd never even played third-person shooters. But for some reason, I just really enjoyed the way it went, because it was just like an RPG, really, and it is an RPG. It's a third-person RPG, really, because you just go through the story and you shoot the zombies on your way. There's some puzzles, but they're usually pretty easy. So it's not really very complicated, and I liked the way that the whole shooting, and it was all very easy systems and stuff. And I played through that loads of times. So yeah, there's like 2 games that I really, really, really adore, the Final Fantasy games and the Kingdom Hearts, and then some games that I've got to put 3. So I suppose if I had to, I'd probably say Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 8, there's 3. What games do you play the most? I don't really See, this is kind of a bad thing for me to do as my first video in some ways, because I don't play games as much as I used to. The one game I seem to be playing the most, I suppose, at the moment is Scribblenauts, which is a really bizarre kind of game. It's you just basically, you go through this story, you go to these worlds, and you've got to do good things, and you're this kid who can create things. Anything. You just write it in a notebook and it just appears. And you have to use that somehow to help people. So if somebody comes up and says, oh, I've lost my kitten, or something, you make a cat to replace it or something. You know, you can create pretty much anything. That might be a limit perhaps, I'm sure, but you can make people. You can create people and animals. This notepad is basically God, you know. And you are God. You can create pretty much everything. And you use it to help people, because your sister is slowly turning to stone. And the more people you help, the more likely you'll save your sister from turning to stone. So that's probably the game I'm playing the most at the moment. Okay, what games have you been obsessed with? Well, Kingdom Hearts. How many consoles have you owned, or do you own? I can't be asked to recheck that. I only own 4 that I still actually have. A PSP, a Nintendo DS, an Xbox 360, and a PlayStation 2. Oh, and I've also got a Wii. What game are you most looking forward to? Well, I know there is a Kingdom Hearts game that's coming out, like a new proper one, not one of these little side games that they've had come out for the PSP and the DS and whatnot. They've actually got a proper game coming out for the PS4, sorry. Problem is, I will probably not be able to afford a PS4 for donkey's years, and I'm not really in the whole Kingdom Hearts mood, so I don't know whether... I can't really say I'm looking forward to that one as much as I would have way back when. But it would be one of the reasons that I would want to buy a PS4 more than an Xbox One whenever it came down to it. Yeah, if I actually played video games more on a regular basis, it probably would have been more interesting. But I don't know. I think it was still, in terms of recording, it's been interesting, and it certainly made me want to start making vids again, like I used to. I think you're supposed to tag people. The problem is I don't really know many people who vlog. If my boyfriend Will wants to make a vid, I would happily watch it, because I know he'd have more things to say about video games than I would. But anyway, there you go, and hopefully I'll be making another video at some point soon.